And welcome back to another edition of the Vulcan Nation. We're very excited to have another special guest with us today. She is one of the under 40 class of 2020 inductees. We're very happy to welcome Kaitlyn Moffett, class of 2018. She's the broadcast morning meteorologist at CBS 3 in Duluth. Kaitlyn, welcome to the Vulcan Nation.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is great.
Yeah, no lie to the listeners. It's like the 50th time we've tried to record this in the last 2 weeks. So hoping it goes off without a hitch here today. But Kaitlyn, thank you for being patient with us. And thanks for carving some time out to talk to us today.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. So we like to get right into things and allow our guests to introduce themselves to our audience, kind of your background, how you got to Cal, and kind of where it's brought you to today.
Yeah, sure. So for me, ever since I was a little girl, I knew I wanted to go into meteorology. I wanted to become like the weather girl on TV, does the news, as everyone refers to as. But for me, it's always something I knew as a little girl. I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I strived to do that throughout school. When it was time to come to college, I had to figure out, in Pennsylvania, there's not a lot of schools that offer meteorology. So for me, it was 3 schools. I had Millersville, Penn State, or Cal U. So it was 3 different schools in 3 different locations of the state. And so I was able to visit each one. I was able to see the campuses and then talk to the professors for each one. And for me, once I made it to Cal U, it was the furthest for me from home. It was 4 hours from home, and I felt like home. It was a perfect size of a campus. And once I talked with the 3 professors there, Dr. Meitzen, Dr. Gill, and Dr. Kaufman, they were awesome, very personable, and I knew that this was the place to be. And so I went with it. And 4 years went by very fast, but it was a great 4 years. I was able to learn a lot, do a lot of different cool things that I didn't think I'd ever get to do, and then land my job out here in Duluth, Minnesota, right out of school. I mean, I was offered the job before I graduated, took it, and here I am.
There's nothing wrong with having a job offer before graduation. I mean, that's pretty.
I was so stoked.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Kaufman, name dropping. He's been a guest on our show before, so that's
Okay.
doing that work with the AMS program and everything like that. So yeah,
Yep.
So our guests are kind of familiar with him too. So let's talk a little bit more about your story, right? So right now, like that's kind of the our campaign here for prospective students is that you can come to Cal U and kind of unlock your story, shape pathways, and kind of unlock the narrative that allow you to like get into your career, kind of like what you were just talking about. So can you elaborate a little bit on there? What was maybe like a specific experience or something that helped unlock this or helped you actualize this dream that you've always had of being the weather person, on the morning commute?
Yeah, so for me, freshman year, when I got started there at Cal, it was we had a small group. There was 8 of us in my meteorology class. It was a very tiny group, but I knew it was a perfect because I knew how demanding the career field is, and it's hard. I mean, it was challenging 4 years, and I'm not going to lie about that. It was very hard, but to have a small knit group there, we all were like family. We all were able to do study groups together. We always were in it together, and our professors were also right there along with us. They were there when we needed it to have that one-on-one, help with the major. And freshman year, I got to do a once-in-a-lifetime trip, which was actually storm chasing. Dr. Gill took us on that trip. It was something I don't think I ever would have done without, I don't think, being at Cal U. And I got to travel across the states for 12, 13 days. We did intercept a tornado in Oklahoma. So it was something that, they tell you don't look forward to seeing one. It's a hit or miss kind of thing. And we got it. We saw one. It was, that was the main goal of the trip. But overall, it was so cool to knock off all those states on my bucket list, to see the weather in just different areas of the country. For me, that was awesome. But then besides that, we do those AMS that you were talking about, the AMS meetings. And, pre-pandemic, when you could go places and do things, we got to travel, wherever that, got to travel to where each meeting was. And our meteorology club paid for it. We were able to support each student to go there. And so we got to network, and networking is a huge thing. I think, when you get to college, I stress that, I can't stress it enough, I should say, to get to know people, because it's really about the people, And for me, I was able to go to those conferences every single year. And my fourth year in particular, we went to Austin, Texas for the AMS conference, and that's where I met the chief meteorologist here at Duluth, Minnesota. We chatted back and forth, and he said, I'm looking for someone to be in my broadcast group. We've got one opening. Who's here in the group going into broadcast? And I was the only one in my graduating class that wanted to go into TV. So it was perfect. We chatted back and forth and stayed connected. And sure enough, I was offered the job out here. And the big thing is with my career is you have to be willing to travel or to be moved places, because if I want to start somewhere, I got to start somewhere small. So right. Duluth, Minnesota is it for me. I moved out here 18 hours away. It was hard. It was a long trip away from home. But it's been a great almost 3 years now being out here. I went from the weekend Met for a year and a half, and I'm now the morning meteorologist here on the morning show.
And that's and I think it's very cool, to see your hard work pay off that way. You built this relationship, and I know sometimes we say it's not what you know, it's who you know, but literally though, it's you came to Cal to learn, and you were able to meet and develop this network and landed a job and then work your way through. So I think that's pretty cool and really complimentary of kind of your work ethic and everything you've achieved. So I think that's really cool to see.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk about, every good story like yours has a good supporting cast too. So who are some of we talked about maybe Dr. Kaufman, Dr. Gill, some of the classes, the professors, maybe your fellow classmates or friends that you made at Cal U. Who are the folks that have kind of helped you along the way moving on through there?
Yeah, so for me, obviously, number one being my family. I was 4 hours away from home. That was my first real time living away from home. They were there with me every step of the way, and it was super helpful. But then besides that, I met my one roommate. First year we met, moving in day. We met. We didn't know each other. We weren't rooming yet. But by that year, we had become super close. Madison, I'll give her the shout out. She now lives in Arizona, but we became roommates every single year. So we were together from day one all the way to the end. And so that was something that, I couldn't have asked more for. We both were in it together, whether it be for schooling. She went for teaching. I went for meteorology, 2 difficult careers. That we were able to be there for each other, but then also have fun, outside of the school work. It was just nice to live with someone and, have those memories. Besides that, I was able to also meet my boyfriend now of over 3 years. He also lives out here with me in Duluth. I met him through Cal U. Ryan, his name is, and, we've also made great memories. It's awesome now living a life here with him in Duluth, where I didn't think I would end up one day, but here we are, almost on 3 years, and it's been great. So.
No, that's cool. And we always love to hear about Cal U couples. So that's always cool. That's always cool to hear. We're getting ready as we record this for the folks that are listening and probably won't post, but it's late January, and my favorite time of the year is coming up, Calentine's Day, right?
Oh.
Watch your social media feed for our special 2021 Calentines. They'll be coming out here shortly.
Cool.
Yeah, no, but that's cool, and that, I think that's a big part. Family, friends, and meeting people that support your vision, I think, is very important, and that's very indicative of the experience a lot of our alumni have. They meet people at Cal, and those people support them beyond into their lives further and further down the line. So it's cool to see that too. Well, thanks for sharing the serious stuff, but I'm a fun guy. I like to think so, at least. And we like to have fun on the podcast. So if you're cool with it, play a little bit of a lightning round, kind of go through some fun questions here towards the end.
All right. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So what is the coolest part of your job?
Okay, so the coolest part of my job, and if you ask many people that I've talked to, I'm on TV every day. It's something that most people don't really think of as a career field for them. And, I was a super shy girl growing up. So my family still to this day thinks it's crazy that I was able to get out in front of a camera. But for me, it's I'm just in front of me and the camera, and that's it. And it's so fun to not only be on the TV for our local viewers, but then when I'm out and about doing different things, whether that be the school visits I get to do back, before the pandemic, being able to be recognized and knowing that the viewers there care for you and they know you and they watch you. And it's just that relationship you have with the viewers is super cool.
No, that's pretty cool. I happen to be, so from my time at Cal U, pretty good friends with, or at least, hold him in very high regard, Josh Eckes. and I'm probably butchering his last name, but he's in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So he's actually the guy, like, he does the weather forecast, and he's on, they show him on like the LSU scoreboard and stuff. So it's kind of like, so like that's where, like, are you going to be like the Vikings person one day? Like, that's how they're going to know. It's like, is that the goal too, kind of, to have that connection with like your viewership and stuff like that, like, are you working on any of those like endorsements and side deals yet?
Not yet. Obviously, I feel like I'm still so early in my career. And for me, my goal was to be the chief meteorologist of my team one day, and to be closer to home one day too. I hope to be able to travel back to the East Coast and lock in there somewhere and kind of make that then my, for sure home.
Maybe you'll be like Al Roker one day and like fist bumping the next president, like, and
one day maybe. Ginger Z, she's she's been one of my idols growing up. So
yes, that's what I'm saying. And then like you can get us the hookup on the something like that. All right, so let's reminder that, okay, so we have one running joke on the podcast. We're 3 seasons in, and it's this question. So remembering that this is a PG-13 podcast, do you have a favorite like non-class related memory of your time at Cal U?
My memories, my non-class related, would be obviously would be that storm chase trip. I mean, really nothing compares. That was an incredible trip with great friends. And then, not only that, but just hanging out with, for me, it was hard because my major was so demanding. I had to spend a lot of time, more than some people, doing studies, whether it be outside of class. But when I finally got to, take the time to have fun, it was just relaxing, hanging out, exploring the, the nature, like Cal U and what there was for us to do outside and stuff for me. So it wasn't anything too crazy in terms of my ideas, but just having that fun times with our friends and my roommates, of course, was just fun.
No, and that's a very good answer, because like, as you, at least in my experience, and I don't know, like, you're much more recently graduated than I am, but like, as you're an adult, you don't get that time all the time, right? So you learn to like appreciate, like, man, when I could just like chill, that was pretty cool, so I definitely appreciate that answer there. Sure. All right, so we're building Cal U's ultimate playlist. Something, that project we've been working on and we'll continue to work on and continue to contribute to it. So do you have a song that reminds you the most of your time at Cal U?
For me, there's so many different good songs, but the one I mean, there was probably one, no matter what type of music you listen to, this one song, I think anyone could agree to. It's a good jam. Life is a Highway by Rascal Flatts. It was something that anyone that knew could jam to, and it was just a fun song for me. And I mean, and it, it can fit really to anyone, because life really is a highway. You never know what you're gonna find.
No, absolutely. You don't think that's influenced by your road trip chasing tornadoes and reliving the movie?
I actually didn't think about that, but that's funny. I'm a big country fan.
Like, if you were going for that, I was, I thought that would have been.
That's actually a good. I didn't realize that. I'm a huge country music fan, so for me, that's right up my alley.
No, absolutely, that's cool. So that works. It works on all ends. So I can take either and all of that. So that's cool. All right, we're gonna add your song to the playlist, and that's done, so we don't forget it. Okay. The next great debate that we have centers around food. So now we allow for more than one answer here. So if you have a favorite meal or place to eat on campus and a favorite place to eat off campus, we could take 2 answers. But the question is, what's the best meal you had in your time at Cal U?
Okay, so I do have 2 answers. First one, hands down, I am sad to know that it's no longer at Cal U. Spuds was the absolute best. RIP for sure. It was it was the go-to meal. You had a bad day, you go to Spuds. It was a Friday, you go to Spuds. I mean, the buffalo mac and cheese was hands down the best, I think. I loved Spuds. And then I think if it was on campus, the bistro, it was a hidden gem I found. I didn't find it first in my freshman or sophomore year, really. I found it later on down the road, and I was like, wow, this place is pretty good. The pizza panini was one of my favorite sandwiches at the bistro, if I had to pick something on campus.
No, that's good. The bistro's a solid choice. They got that soup rotation going on there. And
pierogi soup. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like, so it's definitely like the hidden gem. I agree with you there too. It's definitely like it's a sleeper. People sleep on it, and they should.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Kaitlyn, again, I want to thank you so much for taking some time out. We finally got to connect. This has been really fun. I appreciate it. But before we go, we always like to let our guests plug their pluggables. So is there a way that like maybe folks can either connect with you on LinkedIn or check out, maybe they want to
Mhm.
watch you deliver the news, friends from Cal and that how can they see you on the news or connect with you that way?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways. I am on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook or Twitter. My handle would be meteorologist Kaitlyn Moffett. Same thing goes on Twitter, just first last name. And then, if you ever want to download the CBS3 app, it's an app for the iPhone or Android, and you can actually live stream the newscast on that app. So for me, it's very helpful. My family lives far away. They are able to watch me every morning right there on the app. So it's super neat.
Yeah, you just guys, if you're gonna watch Kaitlyn, just remember like you might not want to dress for the weather in Duluth because it might be different. So
Oh, big difference, I promise you.
just a friendly disclaimer for us. Well, Kaitlyn, again, thank you so much for joining us today. And for Kaitlyn Moffett, I'm Ryan Barnhart. This is the Vulcan Nation. We'll catch you next time.